Welcome to That's So Clutch, an automotive podcast that bridges the gap between car industry experts and those who are not. Hey everyone, welcome back to That's So Clutch. I'm Alini Ferreira, your host, and today I am joined with Brandon Harmatiuk. How have you been, Brandon?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm good.
So let's just get into it. I'm going to give you the proper intro.
Okay.
So Brandon is an ASE Master Certified Technician, which is the highest level of certifications a technician can receive. He has proudly mentored other techs, and actually his two former apprentices went on to be master technicians themselves. So bravo. But what's even more amazing is that you've been sober for over a decade.
Yeah.
And now share a little 7-month-old baby girl with your wife, which is amazing.
Yeah.
That is truly amazing.
R.I.P. to my phone storage. Just pictures.
Oh, just pictures of her all the time. Every day she's getting bigger and bigger.
Everything, yeah.
So let's get into it. What is a master tech?
So there's a few different brands. ASE is the Institution of Automotive Service Excellence.
Okay.
They are kind of a nationwide standard for technicians. And they have probably 40 or 50 certifications. But on the automotive technician side, to become a master, there's 8, right?
Oh.
So your 8 standard car stuff like brakes, steering and suspension, automatic transmission, manual transmission, heating and air conditioning, engine performance. There's a couple more, I can't rattle them all off. But once you have those 8, you are an ASE master technician.
Oh, okay.
And what's kind of cool is there's like 57,000 of us. So to give you in the country.
Wow.
To give you an idea, there's 1.3 million lawyers. And there's only 57,000 ASE master
So it's
technicians.
like you have to be one of the good ones to get in that position.
So there's kind of a caveat there. I have definitely worked with amazing technicians that do not have any certifications.
Really?
And I have worked with ASE masters that, maybe weren't the best technicians that I've worked with. So it's more of like can you pass a test? In my opinion, like if I'm looking at a tech, if you get your ASEs, it shows commitment to your professional career, right? It's kind of like a college degree, right? Not everyone that gets a college degree is necessarily an expert. They committed to something, they passed their test, they got a degree.
Yeah.
It's very similar to that. They are hard tests though. I personally have an extra one. It's called L1 Advanced. It took me 3 times to get it. And I know technicians that try 6, 10 times and can't pass it. It's super hard.
Wow.
So the other kind of master tech is I'm also a Subaru master tech.
What is that?
So Subaru has their own training. They will send you to Dallas. They have a facility there. You go up there, you will take training in different aspects of Subarus, and then you will have a post-test after that class. You have to pass that class, you come back, and then that's done. So once you get your training done in a certain category, you're eligible for a test. So then you can take this test in that category, similar to ASE. There's 4 or 5 of them spread out over different categories of cars.
Wow.
Engine, HVAC, transmission. And once you pass all those tests for Subaru specific, you become a Subaru master. So ASE master and brand specific master are separate. Subaru does require that you are an ASE master to be a Subaru master. So not all brands do that. I was with Lexus and I became a Lexus master and they did not require ASE master.
Oh, really?
So it's interesting. And and then there's usually what's called senior master, and that usually just has a tenure to it. So once you have been a master for a certain amount of time, so Subaru, it's 5 years, you are a senior master at that point.
How far along are you from being a senior?
I am a senior master.
Oh,
I've been
you
with
are?
Subaru,
Okay.
Yeah, for 7
cool.
years. And they fast-tracked me. So I was going to Dallas pretty much every week for training when I got hired to try to get me what's called fully trained. So once you are a fully trained technician, it means you're done with all of the training that a manufacturer offers.
Okay.
So I was fully trained within 18 months here, which is super fast.
Yeah.
And Lexus did about the same with me. And what's funny is the facilities are right down the street from each other. So in a 36-month period, I drove to Dallas 70 times.
Wow.
To go up there for training.
So if you're a Subaru technician, a Subaru master technician, does that mean you only work on Subarus or can you fix other vehicles?
So I cut my teeth in the independent world. So I worked at shops that work on everything. I am capable, and most of the time, if you're a master technician, you're capable of working on stuff. What I've gotten to, I'm at the point in my career where I don't want to touch anything that's not a Subaru.
Really?
Right? I don't want to.
Why is that?
I personally just don't want to do the research. I don't want to dig in. Like I can do brakes, oil changes, spark plugs, stuff
So
like
it's
that.
not all the same?
No, like there's maintenance items that are very similar from make to make. But like, let's say you have a check engine light on your Volvo. There might be some in-depth diagnostic I'm going to have to do on a Volvo that I'm just like at the point where I'm like, I don't want to do that. I know Subarus, I know this manufacturer, and I'm at the point where like, I'm not interested in side work. A lot of guys are, right? Like you can make a decent little side chunk in your garage, right? Working on people's cars and stuff. But I'm just at the point where I'm certainly capable, but I don't want to touch anything except Subarus, honestly.
They're pretty good cars. I have one, so.
And they're secretly easy to work on.
Really?
Like, yeah, industry secret. Everyone sees all-wheel drive and they think it's hard. They're pretty simple cars to work on.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So, out of curiosity, what is the craziest thing you ever found in a car?
So I have an interesting story for that one. So unsecured firearms happen all the time, which is really weird.
In Texas, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's super irresponsible for the gun owners. But dog, like, hey, I'm going to leave the dog in the car while you work on it. That has happened to me a few times.
Like while it's being lifted up?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, but the craziest is, so I was doing an airbag recall, and I have to pull the center console out, right? And I open it up. And there's a pretty good sized bag of white powder in there with a cut off straw. And if anyone is like an adult, they kind of know what that is, right? And I was like, okay, cool. I'm really glad I didn't get pulled over on the test drive.
Oh my gosh.
Because technically, when I'm driving that customer's car, I would be in possession of allegedly whatever that was.
So what did you
I'm thinking
do?
It's narcotic. I tell the advisor immediately, right? And he's like, just do the work, right? Don't leave the premises again, obviously, because if you did get pulled over, technically you're in possession of whatever that is. So this is where it gets good. We needed a part. We had to order it. So I parked the car on the parking lot, right? And the advisor comes to me later. He goes, where are those keys? The customer needs to get something out of their car. And I'm like, I bet they do, right? So they do it, right?
I wonder what they're going to get.
A couple of days later, the part comes in. I pull the car in. The baggie's still in there. So I don't know what they got out of their car, but it wasn't their bag of narcotics. So
I wonder if they even knew it was in there.
Sometimes we have a term for it in the industry. It's called trust tests. And sometimes we think people are messing with us. People will leave like $500 in the cup holder just to see, right? So they'll leave, something in the glove box, and you're doing.
Would that be similar to like? So I used to work at HEB, and sometimes because I was a checker, sometimes they would have cops or like undercover people come in with fake IDs to see if you were actually checking.
Probably
Is it something like that?
Probably not. I mean, there's no regulation, like there's no authority doing it.
Yeah.
But I do think sometimes people are just like, I'm gonna leave this $100 bill and see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. That is crazy.
Yeah, and I was like, he was like, they need to get something out of their car. I was like, yeah, I bet they do. And then they didn't even get whatever that bag was, which I'm pretty sure it was not legal. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to get real technical real quick.
Okay.
What is a multi-point inspection?
Sure. So a multi-point is something that is usually performed on every vehicle that you touch.
Oh, really?
And the multi-point is exactly what it sounds like. It is a bumper-to-bumper, multiple points of inspection of the vehicle. So you're going to check things like belts, hoses, fluids, tires, brakes, look underneath, check the exhaust system. It's just a really good rundown. Do your wipers work? Are your wipers in good condition? Are all your lights good? And it's just a good check of the car. And it's really good for not only customers but manufacturers. I tell techs that are learning, that the tool that can make you the most money is not in your toolbox. It is a multi-point inspection.
Really?
If you do a thorough multi-point and you're finding stuff that cars need, if that customer chooses to approve that work, that's money for everyone. Yeah. And you're keeping customer's car in good shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's exactly what it sounds like. It's not like.
So I know Austin Subaru offers it for free. Is that usual for service departments?
Yes.
Every service department does it?
Most.
Okay.
And it came about, some of your older technicians, your grumpier ones, when multi-point inspections first came along, they were kind of hesitant to it because the way that technicians get paid, and I won't go into too much detail, but we don't get paid unless we are fixing a car. So when I pull a car into the shop and I lift it up and I do a multi-point inspection of that vehicle, I'm not making any money per se. I'm not getting paid by the hour. I'm not getting any sort of compensation for that. But I will probably find things that car needs. And then if the customer wants to approve them, I will get paid when I perform those things.
Okay.
So that's why I say that the multi-point inspection can make technicians money, not only the technician, the business, but it's also good for the customer because you're just checking their car over, right? What is it?
Making sure it's safe and everything.
This is what I would do if it was my car or my wife's car, right?
So I feel like some service departments, because of what you just said, have had a bad rep. Do you think that techs make unnecessary recommendations just to make money?
So like I'd be lying if I said that never happens, right? It definitely happens. If you have good service advisors, you have good service managers, it's going to get caught and you're not going to last long doing it. Especially at a place like Austin Subaru. Like I can't speak for other places, but if you're recommending stuff that doesn't need recommendation, it's not going to fly.
But what's an example?
So like maybe you're saying they need brakes and they might have 20,000 miles left on their brakes, but you just want to snag that brake job, right? Or, you need a belt on like a 5-year-old car and there's nothing really wrong with the belt. Or, what happens a lot, I think, is there's a misconception when a multi-point is done. So say a customer brings their car in, their brakes are squealing, right? You do a multi-point, and this particular car, you ended up recommending $2,000 worth of work, right? The person might see that as, I only brought my car in for brakes, and you're trying to sell me $2,000 worth of work. So I think that can get twisted a little bit as trying to sell stuff that doesn't need, whereas we were just looking at your car, and here are some things you might consider, right? It's not like we will do your brakes only if that's what you want. But I think that sometimes that can get misconstrued as making recommendations that are not needed, quote unquote. I don't think it's necessarily at this point in the game, because you're not going to stay in business doing that. You're not going to be a reputable business doing that. You're not going to get good Google reviews doing that, right? So at this point in the game, I think it's less of technicians that are recommending stuff that doesn't need to be done, and opposed to maybe a sticker shock from a multi-point. Like you could have someone that only goes to Jiffy Lube, and they go to Jiffy Lube, they get their oil change when they're supposed to, but the rest of their car has kind of fallen out of, maintenance. Like they just haven't taken care of it, right? And then they come to Subaru for the first time, and they're like, hey, my car's making a noise. And you end up hitting them with a multi-point that could be, upwards of $6,000-$7,000. And basically, you're just laying out like, hey, if you wanted to do everything that your car could possibly need, this is what it is. And if you have a good service advisor, they're going to say, hey, this is the stuff that I'd probably do sooner than later. This is the stuff that can wait. So I think I think a lot of times they tried to sell me is more so what's happening. And people just, I only brought my car in for this, and we did a multi-point, and it ended up needing some more stuff. So I don't think that's happening very often in the modern car culture at reputable businesses. Now you go to some hole in the wall place, I can't speak for what's going on there,
you don't know what they're trying to get from you over there. But okay, let's move on a little bit. A lot of service departments are starting to incorporate videos to send to their customers. And I know Austin Subaru does that, because every time I bring my car in for service, I always get a little video showing this is what we did, or this is what's going on. Have you seen like better customer satisfaction from that?
100%.
Really?
Yeah, I love the videos too.
When did that start? Do you know?
We personally started doing it maybe somewhere between 2 years, year and a half ago. And I personally love it because it cuts out a lot of the stuff that you were just saying. Hey, you're trying to sell me something that my car doesn't need. And if you can see in the video right there, that you need tires, right? Like sometimes the inside edge of a tire might wear, and the person looks at the outside of their tire, I don't need tires. You can see on the video right there, the tires when you do need tires.
They are bald.
And the video guys have fun. They have these.
They do.
They have these little magic wands. Have you seen them?
No.
So it has a little finger, a little plastic finger. Kind of looks like the hamburger helper glove. and they
funny.
point at stuff in the video with it, and you'll just see this finger come in, and sometimes
That
I
is
almost
funny.
crack up watching them.
I've gotten a few that I'm like, this is so like cinematic.
Right.
They do such a good job.
They really do, and
it's quick too. It's not like it takes like days. It's literally right then and there.
and we get a lot of good customer feedback from those videos.
That's
and I think
awesome.
it helps hold everyone accountable, involved. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So.
for sure. So how do you keep yourself organized with scheduled appointments and like walk-ins? Because I don't know how many walk-ins Austin Subaru has specifically, but I'm sure that can get hectic.
The short answer is, as a technician, I don't.
You just show
I'm
up
at the
and get
mercy.
ready.
Yeah. So we are a very high volume dealership.
Yeah.
We are usually over 100 cars a day.
Wow, just with service.
Yes. And we bounce back and forth between one of the dealerships in Colorado, I forgot their name, as being the most busy in the country as far as Subaru goes.
Wow.
Yeah. So you have to handle the cars that are coming in. You know,
Yeah.
you can't, it's not a good business model. It's not a good practice to just tell people, I don't know when we're going to get to your car.
Yeah.
Right. You cannot do that to every person. So as a technician, it's tough. It's tough because I will come into work every day, and if I didn't look at a single car, I usually have a whole day's work to do.
Yeah.
Like in the morning, because it's cars that I've looked at earlier in the week. It might be a motor that I have out that I'm trying to make progress on, so
Or
I can
parts
rebuild it,
coming
put it
in.
back. Exactly. SOPs come in, walk-ins come in. So I guess the short answer is you don't, but you're grateful for it, because I have worked at places where there's nothing to do. So like I told you earlier, technicians don't get paid unless we are fixing cars.
Yeah.
So if I come in and there's no cars, there's no
You're
money.
not getting paid,
Right.
yeah.
I could be at work for 10 hours and make nothing. That's happened to me
Wow.
before. It's actually why I left Lexus.
Really?
Yeah, like not to put anyone on blast, but like Lexus of Lakeway, it was a brand new shop on 620 out in Lakeway. There's one way in, one way out. If you want to get there from anywhere, you're driving on 620. And we all know how bad traffic is on 620. There was nothing to do out there. I mean, there was weeks I would be there for 60 hours and I would get paid for 20.
Wow.
So I'm grateful for the busyness.
Yeah.
You'd always rather be busy and crazy and trying to figure it out than like sitting around twiddling your thumbs with nothing to do.
Yeah. So how has the transition been with cars becoming more technologically advanced? Because I know Subaru specifically, they have like all these braking features, self-driving, cameras at the front. How has that been?
I'm approaching 20 years that I've been doing this. And when I started, you already needed a laptop if you wanted to talk to a car. But let's say when I started, you probably had 4 or 5 computers in a car that were all talking to each other. 2023 Touring Outback, 38 computers,
Wow.
all talking to each other. So the days of what I would call plug and play are over, meaning you replace a part and it's done, right? You replace a part, it needs to be calibrated, right? It needs to be reprogrammed.
Wow.
It needs to be initialized, and you need factory software to talk to the car to do that, right? So the adjustment hasn't been that hard for me. I started with laptops, so you might take guys that are maybe in their 50s or 60s that had to adjust a little bit harder, and then you got these, kids growing up nowadays. They're on a laptop for school.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're getting is, you still. It's not like you just plug the laptop in and it tells you what to do.
Yeah.
Right. You still need to know where to go, how to talk to certain modules, and how to program stuff, initialize stuff. You're replacing the eyesight camera, the backup sensors, all that stuff needs to be initialized and calibrated. So I guess the biggest change that I've seen in my career is, there's just not a lot of stuff that you just throw it on the car and you're good. Is
it more expensive now for like customers? And
for sure. And I don't know if that would, everything's more expensive,
Yeah.
right? Inflation, right?
Yeah.
But I would say it's more the supply chain issues that has made it really, all the silicon chip shortages and stuff. There's computer chips in everything now.
Yeah.
So a lot of that stuff is, shipping issues makes everything more expensive, and labor has gotten more expensive, right? Because rent gets more expensive, right? Paying for a building, paying for a shop, paying for chemicals, paying for everything that it takes to run an automotive shop has gotten more expensive.
Yeah.
So you have to charge more for your labor, right?
wow.
So yeah, short answer, yes, it's gotten a lot more expensive to fix your car.
Yeah. So how are technicians preparing for the world of EV?
So luckily, it depends on brand, right? Some brands have like a target year, right? Like some of them are as soon as like 25.
Yeah.
Like we want to be making 100% EV vehicles by 25. Right?
Yeah, I've heard 32, and I'm like,
so
that's not that far.
I think Subaru will be a little behind the curve there. We have one EV, but it's a borrowed car. It's from Toyota, right? So it's the Solterra, and it is a Toyota with Subaru badges on it, right?
Yeah.
So we're not making our own EV just yet. And so I think that we'll be one of the last ones. For my personal career, I know that I'm still working on 10-year-old cars every single day.
Yeah.
So I still have 10 years.
Yeah, I don't think they'll completely go away.
So
but
from the
there's definitely
technician
gonna be more.
standpoint, they're still going to need tires. They're still going to need brakes. They're still going to need software updated. That's the main stuff. And then instead of pulling a motor out, you're just doing electrical safe things and pulling a battery out, putting it back in. It's all nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
So I don't think it'll be that much of a shock to technicians.
Really?
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot more like rattle chasing.
How so?
Because electric cars are like silent. So there's going to be a lot more people driving down the road be like, what is that rattle?
Yeah.
Do you hear that? And then technicians have to chase down those rattles and fix them.
So you think it's going to be more competitive? Like,
I don't know about, I think technicians are getting more valuable as it is. I don't know if there's really going to be, I think the competition is going to be with the employers, right? They're going to have to step it up if they want to hire talent, because there's not a lot of technicians coming up through the ranks. That's just not and it's not an industry that people are interested in right now growing up. They want to do tech, they want to be YouTube stars, they want to do TikTok, they want to do podcasts, you know what I mean? Like, so to actually work on cars is not something a lot of people want to do. So to answer your question, like, yes, it's going to get more competitive, but I don't think it will be for techs. It's going to be, if you want me to come work for you, what can
they're going to be more valuable.
Yeah, what's our relationship like, for me to come work for you?
Yeah. So my last question isn't automotive related, but it can be if you want to. If you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
Man, my younger self wouldn't listen. I know that. So technician-wise, it would definitely be learn about money and be smart with your money. I'm 38, and if I had been smart, I didn't figure my financial stuff out probably till 34. And I've seen the change in my life since I started taking control of my financial life. And if I would have done that from the beginning, it would be optional for me to work right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would be doing this because I want to be here, not because, I need to get my house paid off.
Yeah.
So definitely from a work standpoint, it would be smarter with your money. But in life in general, I struggled with drugs and alcohol. And my whole teens and early 20s is just a blur, and I think I wasted so much potential there. Have you ever heard the term that youth is wasted on the young?
No. So
it's like you don't realize it when you're young that the world is your oyster.
Yeah.
Like you can do anything.
And
then you start getting, the older you get, you can get stuck. And I like my job, don't get me wrong. I never wake up thinking I hate my job.
Yeah.
But like none of us would ideally wake up and put in 60-hour weeks if you had the choice, right?
Yeah.
So I think if I would have done things a little bit differently, then, coming up on 40 years old, I'd have a lot more life, a lot more time to spend with my daughter.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be looking at a further career. So, being stuck where I probably still have at least a decade more of this, which is not, like I said, I don't hate my job, but I'd have a lot more time to myself if I would have done
with
things.
With your family too, yeah.
Smarter from the
time
beginning.
is very valuable as you get older.
Yeah, for sure.
But, well, thank you so much for joining. This was so fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I enjoyed learning about the technician world, and I hope some people out there know that you're not trying to scam them. You're just trying to help them.
And I just hope, like, we're not all, like, grease monkeys.
Yeah.
Like, we're people.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I think when I was at Lexus, they didn't even want technicians to be seen by customers. So, like, they had a coffee bar, right? We were not allowed to go. If you got, like, you're not allowed to go to the coffee bar.
Wow.
You stay in the shop. And
you are not existent.
Right. And I think that there's a human element to getting cars fixed that people don't see. And, when someone drops their car off, most of the time they're not in a good mood. No one's in a good mood.
No one likes to go to the dealership.
Right.
Or a service shop.
And I just think, like, I hope that anyone who watches this would think like, you know, just
Have a more
technicians
positive view.
are people.
Yeah.
You know, they have like
For
families
sure.
and, you know, we're not
Lives.
just, they're, you know, they get kind of an under societal rap sometimes, which there is, you know,
Yeah.
blue collar working people, but
And years of bad rep.
yeah,
So
yeah, for sure.
I think they will. I think this was a very positive look.
Cool.
Well, thanks. Thanks everyone for joining. I hope you enjoyed this episode of That's So Clutch. And as always, please feel free to leave any questions about the automotive industry down below, and maybe we'll feature them in the next video. See ya.